Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name is Charles McGilvray and as always I'm joined by Jess Kebbell and Simon Stacey. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints, and this is our new season kickoff episode. How are you both doing?
Good, thank you.
I'm good, thank you, mate. I hope you all both had a good summer.
Yeah, exactly. Both.
Good, thank you.
I had a very busy summer having a newborn, but what about the two of you?
Yeah, all good, all chilled. Missing the rugby though now.
Yeah.
Wait for it to get back.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely waiting for some proper rugby, unlike that stuff they had on over the summer. But that's probably a good place to start. What did you both think of the Lions tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won. That was it. Yeah. Still.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I'm obviously looking at it from a different perspective to you two in terms of I was supporting the Wallabies whilst also supporting the Saints boys. But I don't want us to get into that because I think there might be a bit of controversy and we might end up being a Lions tour podcast. But yeah, there's a few interesting things. I think from a Saints perspective, if we stick to that, I thought all four of them sort of held their own and didn't let anyone down. And Tommy was pretty exceptional. Mitchell was pretty exceptional. Finn looked good when he got given the opportunities, and for a 19-year-old kid, Pollock, what an experience.
Exactly that. Yeah. Just a shame they didn't get a chance in the test, the last two, wasn't it? Finn and Henry. But yeah, what an experience for a 19-year-old boy that wasn't even starting for Saints last year. To be fair, at the beginning of the season, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but they just took so many back rollers. It was always a long shot, wasn't it? And I sort of think, the way the Lions played was so, in my humble opinion, stodgy and one-dimensional that a bit of X factor from Pollock might have been something that they could have, because he did show it on glimpses throughout the tour, didn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. So he wasn't never going to be, was he? Because of the Irish little click there, and the way the Irish play. It was always going to be like that. So, unfortunately, we can all beg for certain players to start. But, yeah, especially when he called up his own son, which we all knew was going to happen. But, yeah. Fair play to him for being a four-tour player, though. You can't doubt his talents, but he has not had the best of seasons, has he? To play ahead of Finn? Nah, not for me. But that's just my opinion.
I think the issue they had is that it also felt like as soon as Daly was gone, and other injuries came, like I felt like Finn was a long shot anyway. Like Finn Smith, I think I said before I'd be very surprised if he got in above Russell or really got in at all. And then as soon as Daly got the injury, I thought they're gonna pick people that can cover a couple more positions, and that's kind of what happened. But I mean, just the whole tour didn't really. It just felt like none of the matches really set anything alike that much, to be honest. Like compared to previous tours, it just wasn't. It's great to get the win, and like you said, the Saints fans would have had amazing experiences in it, and for all of the players, and definitely seem to be some really good like friendships that have been made. But the actual rugby matches, I don't know if it hit like the kind of peak that other tours have hit. So I'm definitely excited to get back to Saints. Because I find that a much more exciting brand of rugby than what I tend to see on international stages these days, which is probably biased of me, but I'm saying it anyway.
When I said about rugby, I meant missing rugby. I meant actually going. That's what I meant. I know we had the Lions tour. I didn't mean that. I was like, there was nothing happening in the summer. Just not missing going. That's what I mean. It's totally different being there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It was, that's why it was nice to get to the game on Friday, just to experience it, and in a nice place like Bedford, nice relaxed environment like Bedford ground was class. But my last comment on the Lions was like what it would have been, what it could have been if Bobby Valentini and Will Skelton were fit, because when they were on the pitch it was a different side. And I would say that my actual concern towards the end of that tour was I really didn't think there was a great, looking from the outside and from what the coaches and what the players were saying in the press, I thought culturally the Lions were way off. After that second test where Australia had been 20 points up at one point, for Ellis Genge to say that the Lions dominated the match, I mean, I think that was nonsense. And for the interview with Mario Toji not to not to even reference the Aussies, not even to say, oh, they pushed us well, or it was a great game. Just to be really so internally focused and so aren't we great and aren't we creating legacy, and like I was starting. I don't want that culture to rub off on the Saints players, and then to bring that back into the great culture that we've got and the atmosphere within the squad, because it didn't sit well for me, especially for a Lions touring team. You compare that to the All Black draw a few way back when they took that last picture and all the players were in one picture, and it was just a phenomenal advert for rugby. That didn't seem to happen. And when you've got coach Woodward saying that the Aussies were weak for trying to have a beer with the Lions after the games and stuff, I thought there's just something wrong with those. It didn't fit well. And
I must say though, I don't think that will have rubbed off on the Saints guys, just because we saw them taking pictures and having beers with members of the Australian team that have played for us before.
Yeah,
that haven't now. And they seem to go out of their way to kind of catch up with them, speak to them. Photographs were put on social media of that. So, whilst I kind of agree about kind of the Lions team as a whole, I'm not sure that we would necessarily bring that back here, because there was a lot of catching up that it seemed that those players did on that tour with people that they knew, and they kind of engaged with them on that level. So certainly from a Saints perspective, it seems like they actually were interested in chatting with and catching up with ex-teammates and doing different things like that. So yeah, hopefully it should be fine when they come back in. There's definitely going to be kind of an aura around all of them, isn't there, for a while.
They were back in today, weren't they? They came back today.
Yeah. No, well, they're Lions now, and they'll have that for the rest of their career. It's an incredible achievement, and I suppose they can all. I think all four of them can look forward in terms of not looking forward to expecting to be there, but they can now look at the next one and try and get to that one, because they're all young enough. Yeah.
You think about Henry's age, like 19 years old. You think about how many tours he could still do. It's crazy.
I was just working out in my head. He could do 5, exactly. And it'd be 35, I think.
And, yeah, and there's, and obviously we don't want to look too far, because anything can happen in life. But, fingers crossed, touch wood, everything goes as it kind of should be. Like, it's going to be far from the only tour that he's on. And all of them. Like, you've got to think in 4 years' time, I'd be very surprised if Finn Smith is not the informed 10 at that point. Like, I totally understand going with Russell. And I suppose Russell could, in theory, make the next one, but he's already in his early to mid 30s. I'm not 100% sure quite what his age is. And I also think that's probably one of the key reasons they went with Russell, not just because of his form at the moment, but also how long he's kind of pushed for that particular sort of position. So that seemed totally fair to me. Whereas Finn at, what is he, 23, somewhere around there? Like maybe a couple of years younger, a couple of years old. It's around there, isn't it? So there's still plenty of time.
Yeah, he's 23 and
so
Finn
in 4
Russell's
years,
32.
Yeah, so you've got to think in 4 years' time as well. 27 is, they say that's roughly like the peak for a lot of people, isn't it? So he's probably going to be at his best at that point. So, and then Tommy's also not far off of that age, is he not? Perhaps even the same age.
Slightly older, I think.
Yeah,
maybe a year older.
And then I think Mitchell is a couple of years above.
He's 27.
As well.
I think. Yeah. So 24, 23, and off the top of my head, I think Mitchell's 20. Mitchell is 27, I think.
Yeah. So you've got to think that there's most likely, assuming their form stays, there's no reason why it wouldn't, that more tours are coming for them. And so it's great experience. And Mitch was in every single squad for every single game, and I don't know the stat off the top of my head as to whether he's the first person or the first person for X amount of years or whatever it was, but it's rare to get picked for every single, to be consistent enough that you are picked for every single squad throughout that entire thing. All of their mid I know they weren't all at midweek, but quote unquote midweek games and the tests, that's a hell of an achievement to be selected for all of them and to play in all but one. I think it was just one of the test matches he didn't get on, but I think he played in all of the others. So, that's a good mark of kind of where he is and what they think about him and his kind of consistent level.
Any other head coach, though, he probably would have started a few of them, in my opinion, but hey ho. Because Gibson Park wasn't all that, if I'm honest.
I think the difference between Mitchell and, because Gibson Park is a phenomenally good player in terms of his control of the game, his kicking game is top notch, etc. And Mitchell has control and he's a great kicking, a hell of a boot. But the key thing for me, which stands him above, is his accuracy of his passing. You know, like I think it was Aaron Smith. They worked out that at the end of his career, he had a 99% accuracy rating with his passing. Right, he was almost perfection in terms of how accurate he was. And Mitchell, when you look at him, when you watch him play, almost every ball is hard and fast into exactly where the hands. You know, player running onto them, they're perfectly judged. Whereas some of Gibson's parks, when he tries to build the tempo, they're a bit higher up the sort of shoulder level or a bit too low, and players have to check a little bit to get the ball. And that's the skill of Mitchell, and why we can play so quickly is because players can just run onto the ball knowing it's going to be perfect, and it is perfect most of the time. So yeah. I think he deserves to start. I think he outperformed Gibson Park in the games he played. I just think, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but Farrell has his man that he trusts, and that you can't get away from that, and that's always going to be the case when you pick a national coach to be the Lions coach. You could say it'd be better to get someone from the outside to come in and do it, and then you won't have that favoritism, but you could also say, well, they've just won the tour, so
he's still
results.
He will always go down as a tour winning coach, irrespective of that. So.
He's also 33, so I doubt he'll go on another tour. And Mitchell's now 28. I just checked, so he'll be 32 on the next one. So.
Yeah, he could be the starting line then, doesn't he? It's interesting you said, because he played every game. There's obviously now with player welfare and the PGA agreement, etc., the professional players board, whatever it is, agreement now, that a player can only play 30 games. So he's essentially done 10. But he'll play probably 10 or 11 games for England. How many games are we going to see him in green, black, and gold this year?
Isn't it done on minutes though? So he was literally some of those games. Is it not minutes?
I think it's appearances now.
Oh my days! Yeah, one of the games he played about 2 minutes.
Yeah. But but that might be like what maybe has happened before with pushback of if you say yes, he's played 10 games, but actually his minutes are not realistically that high, right? There wasn't many of those that he full on started. He's benching all of the tests. He didn't start every single one of the midweek, compared to some others. So, and I mean, we must have seen that a bit last season. It kind of went a bit quiet, but at one point it was, is Tommy Freeman going to be able to play in the semi-final and the final of Europe, because technically he's over the limit? And then he did, because how does anyone tell a team oh sorry, you can't pick, and not just one of Saints' best players, but easily probably one of, if not the best winger in the world at that moment, telling us that we can't play him in Europe? I don't think so. So I think you will start to see some pushback of, yes, he's played, and it could be any other player as well, not even just him. Yes, they've played this many games, but actually the minutes are not necessarily that high. I wonder what's gonna, and we won't be the only team that will have that kind of issue, right? There are plenty of players plenty of English players who played a lot of minutes and a lot of games on that tour. So it'll be interesting kind of what happens as we get to the end of the season, and it's starting to affect not just us, but other teams that had decent amounts of people selected.
Yeah, I think what it does, though, is it puts the power in England's camp, doesn't it? Right, so the decision will be made what's best for England. So, the decision might be that Mitchell playing more games so that he's got form, and, playing games so that he plays in big games so that he gets those experiences to help him develop. That might be, whatever works for England might be what happens because of the agreement that they've got in place. Moving on from the Lions then, the England toured, Argentina and USA. There's a few Saints boys. I think Alex Cole stood out for me. He played in pretty much every game and ran the line up.
He did indeed. Yep.
I mean, he just. It just still comes back to me for the final, and when he came onto the podcast and said that he was really probably 2 or 3 weeks away from actually being able to play, and he still played, and not just played, but played. I would still argue, even though we didn't win, he was the best player on the pitch that final that day. And then for him to come on to the podcast a week later and be, I wasn't really quite where I needed to be. I was probably it should have been a 2-week injury, and I came back after 1, and I was like, this can't be possible. So, to have played that way. So, yeah, and he's just carrying on that form. And really for that England team as well, he was I don't want to say senior, but he certainly wasn't one of the junior members. Like, he's got experience, and he had a big role to play in that game from a leadership perspective, alongside his line out skills and his just general gameplay skills. And yeah, I think he played really well.
Yeah, and I think the funny one as well is obviously in the USA game, Curtis and Big Trev both got caps, but I think from memory they got their debuts against USA under Eddie Jones previously. So sort
Possibly,
of like Curtis Langdon's becoming like a specialist against the USA.
Yeah.
He should be first choice in my opinion, but that's being biased. He's got to be one of the best, if not the best, hookers in the Premiership. To not even get selected first, taking the old boy with him. But hey ho.
You just got to, sometimes just one of those that, as long as you kind of take the chances that you are given, because as soon as they got, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember which recruit it was that got injured for the Lions, but as soon as George was called up to the Lions squad, I was like, well, that's going to be Curtis's chance.
It does make you wonder though, why would you take Jamie George? I know he's the captain, but why would you take him on a experience tour to Argentina and USA? He's a lion. He knows what, unless it was for that reason that he can get to Australia quick. I don't know, but it just seemed that tour should have been all young kids, just to blood them.
I don't think that works though. I think you need to have the senior players in the squad to drive the standards a bit.
Especially for it, maybe not. I think maybe you could make that case for the USA, but Argentina are a really good side at this point. So I think you kind of need
the US.
Yeah, the US in particular, but.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as George got called up, it was quite clear. I mean, Dan's obviously seems to be in the pecking order slightly a bit as well, and he's a great player. I mean, darts aren't quite there, but he's a great ball carrier, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent in the hooking position in the Premiership, but Langdon plays, scores, hasn't let himself down, and he did make his debut against the USA. So he's got 3 caps, two against the USA, one against Canada. So he's obviously specialising in North American position.
Yeah. I think the biggest.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say the biggest miss really for me was that Dingwall got himself injured, because I think he would have featured prominently in that team, because he had sort of gotten back into favour with England, but even before the Lions, and obviously with the Lions taking some of those people in that position that he plays in, he'd have featured quite well, I think, and probably would have been a starting figure. So it was just, I mean, it just sums up Saints' year in terms of luck, didn't it? That it continued even at the end of the season, when you think, right, it's the end of the season, everything's a bit relaxed, and then it's, Dingwall's got injured and Fairbank's not going to be ready in time, and just, so hopefully, I think really the one thing I kind of take from the summer is hoping that it's given everyone the kind of recuperation time that they needed, because we were missing so many people by the end of that. I mean, I think it's kind of a good thing that that we perhaps didn't get a bit further in the Premiership, because after that European final, I'm not convinced that we'd have had anybody left to read, because we didn't necessarily really for that final, and we still competed quite heavily and really well. So you sort of feel that, it's disappointing, obviously, not to get to the knockouts of the Prem, but I also wonder how well we'd have fared with who we would have had left.
Yeah, we were definitely struggling. I mean, and obviously, like Furbank, I think, got called up into that tour squad and then got injured again, and like Dingwall wasn't fit, and same with Slyton wasn't quite back ready.
Yeah.
I think having a prolonged period away and off and resting is probably the best for them and their careers, and for Saints and for England.
Yeah.
Having players who aren't quite ready going out to Argentina or whatever, what's the real value? When, let's face it, when everyone's fit and firing, they're contending for first team spots. So hopefully, jumping ahead a little bit, but Furbank is, I've said many times, I think he's one of our most important players, if not our most important players, because when he's firing, we're firing. He is fundamental to the success of Saints, I think, and we just need to get him fit.
I mean, it was summed up by that performance when he came back, didn't he? We brought him back a bit too early and the arm wasn't quite right. But outside of the fact that the arm wasn't quite right, and you could tell it wasn't quite right, he was ridiculously good, considering he'd had, 4 months off, I think, at that point, and the arm wasn't quite, from what I understand, that seems to have healed now and seems to have gotten to a place that they're happy with it, because I know at one point it was a question of Is he going to need more surgery? What's happening with this plate? Lots of question marks over that at some point. And that seems to have hopefully kind of resolved itself. But, it was obvious that he was still struggling with that arm in that game that he played. And yet he just was ridiculous, scoring tries, ball in hand, making tackles. I mean, I was definitely wincing every single time he did something like that because I thought he's definitely not quite where he should be. But you just got to think that, he's one of those that sometimes players need time, I think, to build up form. But I think he's one of those that you can just drop him back in at the beginning of the season, and I think it's just going to be raring to go. It's hopefully it will be an exciting year. Obviously, Europe's going to be a little bit tougher, possibly, just because
tougher draw.
Yeah, I mean, it's all obviously going to come down most likely to that Bordeaux game in that pool, and that's going to be fun. That's going to be a totally calm, normal game. So that's going to be maybe a bit of a harder swing this year. So I wonder if their focus is back on the Prem, because I know they've said, runner up in Europe to 8th in the Prem. They were very disappointed with the big gap between both of those. So it'd be interesting kind of how we get going, but yeah.
It does make you wonder how you can have such a really hard draw when you're runners up in the tournament. I know it's done on seeding and stuff, but you were that close to winning it, and then you literally get a bad set of fixtures. It's crazy.
We needed Bordeaux to win the top 14, and we would actually have had one of those top 4 seedings, but they didn't. they didn't do us that favour, so it meant that Toulouse got the other spot. So we just missed out there. But I mean, I'm confident that we'll be all right in that pool outside of Bordeaux. Like, I feel like getting to the next stages will be fine. But we got lucky, didn't we, in the past 2 seasons of having 2 rounds, round of 16 and quarterfinals both at home, and I think we could end up having one of those at home, but from quarters onwards I think we'd be away. It's not impossible, but we also have no idea what our form is going to be going in, is it?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't jump into it. I mean, like, Bordeaux might not be the team as well. They've obviously lost Pete Samu, and he was an exceptional talent for them. So I would, going away to Pau, etc. That could be, that could be a win. The South African teams at home.
Yeah.
And then the Welsh don't really count. So it's I wouldn't. It's a tough group. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say we can't compete and even top that group. If we go.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. You go there. There's every chance that you're absolutely motivated by revenge, right?
And they might not win all their games as well, So,
exactly.
So it's tough.
So I think really though this year I feel like obviously you want them to do as well in both competitions, but it feels like we really need to focus on our kind of domestic, more about kind of like what we tended to have in it. And I think it happens because like the Prem is much longer, right? You play more games in the Prem than you do in Europe, obviously. So you're much more likely when you're having your down periods to be in the Premiership. And that's just essentially what happened with us. We had such a lack of consistency, and our high moments happened to tally with when we were in Europe, and our low moments had tended to tally when we were in the Premiership, and it just ended up working out that way. We had quite a slow start. And I think that's been the key thing for us for a couple of years, right? Like the consistency can just disappear sometimes. So I think that's the key thing for them moving forward. And I know they talked about their away form was dire in the Premiership, and that's why I know it's obviously you always want to try and have a friendly at home, I suppose, but I think they've made it pretty clear that they wanted it to be 2 away fixtures to test themselves a little bit more. Obviously Bedford's away, but it's not away, but Glasgow is a decent travel, and a decent chance to kind of see how you're faring on the road.
Yeah, and I think they'll treat that Saracens game as a pre-season warm-up as well, won't they? Which is also away. It's interesting. They make these. They actively wanted the games to be away so that they can get that into the squad, and so Bedford away. But Bedford away was almost already pre-planned, wasn't it? Because they alternate home and away.
Yep.
But none of the players who played on Friday are really, the players that are going to be your top type flight players anyway, potentially. There were obviously a few players, and it was unbelievable to see Graham back. It was for 20 odd minutes that he got. It was class to see him back. But those players are all there just to stake a claim, really, to push and challenge the pecking order, really, rather than get some away form or some experience on away fixtures, etc. I mean, that's obviously. Sorry.
I was to say maybe that's that kind of is what's helpful about having the PRC Saracens game away, that perhaps it freed them up a little bit to say, okay, actually for Bedford we've still got some people coming back from injury, we need to kind of drop feed them in rather than kind of chuck them all in. We need to kind of and maybe they felt like it was an opportunity for some people to put their hands up a bit because they think, oh, actually we've got another away game coming, and the PRC is, look, it's a tournament, but it's not at the top of the list, is it? It's very much third out of the 3 tournaments that you have in terms of importance. I don't think anyone would deny that. And so, yeah, you can probably, as soon as you get that draw, and they've had the draw for a good, I mean, that's been on my calendar, I'm sure, for at least a month, if not more, at this point. I wonder if that factors in a little bit as to who they had played against Bedford. The fact they go, okay, actually, we've got 2 games, one against Glasgow, which is a decent travel trip, and one against Saracens, who will probably view it the same, and they'll probably have some decent players in there, that it gives them a chance to actually say, right, let's give the young guys a go at Bedford, and then Glasgow and Sarries is actually what they focus on in terms of pre-season, even though technically Sarries is not pre-season. But yeah, it gives them a chance to use that game as opposed to Bedford, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might end up seeing that PRC game being quite a strong team.
Possibly, yeah, very possible.
It's get a good hit out before the season starts. I mean, thinking I know obviously, Jess, you didn't manage to get it to Bedford. I don't think you did either, Simon, did you?
I watched it though.
You watched it, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
It's such a good game against Bedford, and the team that we played or put out was the right team for that fixture, and there was quite a few standout performances, I thought, as well. I thought Ed Prowse obviously was great.
Yeah, your favourite little one there.
Oh God!
You wouldn't have watched you didn't watch the TV, did you? But the commentator, it wasn't Curtis. There was another guy on there. He said Ed Prowse is England's Will Skelton. So he said he's going to cut that and put it on his reel, because that's a massive compliment.
You're going to need to try and get Charles like a personalised calendar for 2026.
But he was really good. I mean,
he was playing fantastic. I mean, he got himself injured, didn't he, at the end of the?
Yeah.
He got finished with was it his arm or something?
Yeah,
his elbow.
Last game season, he had a bad injury. Yeah. But he was really physical. He put some big shots in, knocking men back. He was good.
I'll tell you one person I was impressed with. He's ours, and I don't know. I'm guessing he was playing for them because the link we have was Mini Tongawiya.
Yeah,
that boy is massive. He was smashing people all over the place.
He was tremendous when he came on. I think he's going to probably play a lot of games for Bedford this year. I think he's probably 5th in the pecking order at Tired Saints at the moment, so he's probably going to get a good season and develop at Bedford this year. But the funny thing is, he's got a younger brother who's bigger.
Oh really? Yes, yeah.
Who's in the under-18s for Saints, and he plays second row, so it could be a burgeoning dynasty there, I think, in the making. But yeah, no, he looked good, didn't he? Played really well. Some great carries.
God. Yeah, I couldn't believe some of the lads as well, the academy lads. They literally, don't want the Saints have been feeding them and putting them in the gym. Like Finn Brown as well. Finn Brown looked like he'd put on a lot of muscle. I can't think of I apologise, the Italian centre.
Todaro.
He looked massive. He looked really good. He looked big and all. He's put on some muscle. It just looked good. Everybody looks super fit and super strong.
He must have been playing a bit over the summer, was he not?
For the under-20s, I think.
For the under-20s, yeah.
Blimey.
So he's got some decent game time under his belt heading into the season as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because he played a lot for Italy at 15. He obviously started against Bedford on the wing and moved to the centres, I think, later in the game. So he can cover a lot of roles, and so he might end up getting an opportunity purely because he's got a bit of experience all around the back line.
It. Yeah.
I think the size of Litchfield and Tame in the midfield as well was pretty impressive. Yeah. They're 2 big lads. I thought McParlin looked sharp again, and I thought Anthony Bellew.
I was going to say he looked good, but Wyman for me.
Tony Bellew.
Yeah, Tony Bellew.
That's going to make me laugh all season long.
The bomber. Johnny Wyman looked like, I'm not going to. I love McPartlin, but he looked absolutely awesome. The speed of the ball he was getting the pass out when he come on. He looked like Mini Mitchell.
He had to make some appearances, didn't he, towards the end of because obviously McPartlin hurt his.
Yeah.
So many injuries to so many body parts, I can't remember.
That was his shoulder,
But yeah, and he was out for a while, and Wyman had played, and I was really impressed. Because I think we've just got I think the thing that maybe we didn't, I think the worry was like, are we going to have depth in some of these positions? And so it's, some of these young guys have got to start stepping up. So it's definitely good that they had good games, and I'm sure some of these will feature against Glasgow, because obviously there are going to be some people that we can't see straight away, can't see the Lions guys straight away. So we're going to be able to hopefully see some of these for the first kind of few rounds of, well, start with the PRC, then some of the Prem games before we can get certain people back. But yeah, it's shaping up to be an interesting season. I think it's a hard one, isn't it? Because you want your best players to play as much as possible. You also want to be able to see some of these young guys and see what they're capable of. And I think maybe one thing that maybe we haven't been as good at over the past couple of years is juggling that slightly. I think maybe there's a bit of improvement that could happen there, but it's also hard because you want to win every tournament, even the PRC, right? You're still going out to win it. And so we always do I always feel like we do sort of a 50-50 of senior players with junior players, and it usually tends to be the same junior players that we see. So it'd be interesting who we get to see this year and what happens. But you've got to think someone like Tony Bellew, he's got to be raring to go because we can't see Finn.
Didn't he not get a knock though? Did he not get a knock?
I'm not sure if he did or not, but he definitely didn't play along. He went off at one point. I mean, at one point Litchfield was at 10, right? Yeah. And this is an issue, I think, because like Bellew is our, with Finn's, we might not see a lot of Finn, and we're definitely not going to see him for the first few rounds of the Prem. So that gives us Bellew basically at 10. Furbank probably our second choice there. Furbank has had his own injury concerns, right? So if Bellew's gone off with a knock, we're really, really, short in that position. I think.
What's happened to GMC?
He left.
He was released. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realise that.
Yeah, when we signed the big lad Van Mescht, a couple of players, Whitteat, who went to Bedford, and GMC, who I haven't seen where he's turned up. Both left. I don't know whether that's part of the consequences of that deal. Maybe there was a salary cap needed a bit of rejigging to fit within, or not even a salary cap, maybe just affordability needed a bit of rejigging to get the Van der Mescht deal over the line. I don't know, but I
do think we're looking stronger this year though, going into the season. We've bought a lot of bulk in. I couldn't remember the lad's name. He's the big prop as well. Where's he from? Somewhere. It's one of the African countries.
Zimbabwe, yeah. Cleopas Kundiona.
Yeah, they did like one of the Saints did one of the cinch things with him and the big South African in the car. It was quite funny to watch.
Yeah, they did the new
with
meet the new boys.
Yeah.
I mean, we've definitely got some bulk. I mean, that JJ Van der Mescht, man, he's
massive.
He's so big. Hey, there aren't many people on the planet. I mean, I don't think there are many people to have ever lived that as big as him. Right? He's literally got to be like top 10 biggest people of all time, I reckon. He's just massive.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting season. We've made some really good signings, to be honest. And I mean, Sam Graham coming back, it's like very necessary timing because we obviously lost. Why am I blanking?
Augustus.
Yeah. Literally, my mind just turned off. Because we lost Augustus, so it's sort of super important that he's back. So good that he got, what was it? You say 20 minutes, and I'm assuming he'll probably get a bit. Hopefully, he'll get a bit more at Glasgow if he's sort of ready to go.
I suspect so. Yeah.
I would say that'd be a more first team against Glasgow because no offense to Bedford, they're a lot more like capable team, aren't they? So I would say they'd send more of that. Probably Big JJ will get his debut.
Yeah, I did read interestingly that I think it was in the Chronicle, he said about how, or it might have actually been an article by Munger said that Van der Mescht was sort of coming back to fitness. I suppose he might be one of those players where if he, takes a summer holiday or something, he struggles to keep the weight off maybe, and so
don't we all?
And so exactly. I know the feeling. So therefore, maybe it might be the case of he has to get a bit of on feet time before he gets fully fit ahead of this season. But I think you're saying about the squad and the depth we've added. Going back to the nines, we must have the best two young nines in the league in Wyman and McParland.
God,
They're the
yeah.
under-20s nines, and
Yeah.
with Mitchell and James as well, we're so stacked at nine. But I think you go through that side, and there are two players in every position, and four at tight heads and tight and loose head, etc., whereby they're competing for the slot. Maybe at hooker, Langdon's a bit more nailed on, but elsewhere through the squad, and the lines are going to play there, whatever. But there's competition throughout. I think, I think from the last season, some of those injuries have meant some players had to play who wouldn't have played, and they've got better because of it. And therefore, the depth within the squad is really, really top draw this year.
We got
The
Robbie
only
back
one
as well
was-
now. haven't we?
Say again.
Yeah,
We've got Robbie back
Smith.
at hooker as well now. He was out for the whole season with his. Was he
Yeah,
ACL? I can't remember what he did.
Oh, I think he had a really bad knee injury. I think he did about four things. Yeah.
Yeah, they said. I don't think they ever said anything at the time, but they posted something not that long ago. He'd had to have 4 surgeries, and it was an injury that they didn't expect. I think was going to end up needing 4 surgeries, but it did, to be able to kind of get through that. So that must have been rough,
Yeah, I bet. I just googled JJ's stat. He's 6'7" and 23 stone.
I mean, people
How far
die.
lifting
You
him?
die. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't imagine him playing at Bedford, could you? Imagine trying to tackle him when he runs down the slope. Got gravity on his side as well. Like you couldn't do it.
It's like it's rare times, or sometimes you just do like you sort of actually worry that for other players. Like, I remember, like obviously like Will Skelton, like every time he's involved in a game, it isn't even just his size; it's also the fact that he will get in your face and also annoy the hell out of you. It's fantastic.
He's a monster, that bloke.
It's crazy.
He's the best player in the world, I think, Will Skelton. I know I'm biased, right? But I think any club side in the world, if you could give them one player to add to their team, they'd pick Will Skelton.
Oh yeah,
it's just mad. I met him when he played for Sarries, and there's not many rugby players that make me look. I'm 6'3" and about, I don't know what my weight is, but he made me look like a little child. He's like, even though I'm 6'3" and he was up here, and it was absolutely insane. His hands as well.
Last time I remember hearing something where like someone's size scared people was actually Courtney, and they were talking about it. And it was a good few seasons back now. And they're like, they were talking about like what players have done over the summer, and they got on to like Courtney. They're like, yeah, he put on 2 stone of muscle, and I was like, well. I remember, can't think of what ex-player it was that was commentating on it, and I think it was just like, well, how, you think about the tackles he was putting in before that. I said, now he's become 2 stone heavy, just a pure muscle. He's bulked up that much. I was like, no one has a chance. Like there's some players out there, and you just think you don't have a chance. Like you're not going to be able to tackle them. They're going to absolutely destroy you. I mean,
that was the one thing he needed, wasn't it? He's like, he was always world class, and he's probably our greatest ever player. But to put that muscle on just changed his game for his running, for his carries.
It was ridiculous. And I just remember thinking, well, because at that point he already had his like compilations of like number 10s that Courtney Laws had made cry, and like he already had all these videos out of like demolishing people. And I was like, tell everyone, oh by the way, he's 2 stone heavier and pure muscle. I'd quit. I would legitimately quit. But I was going to say though, one thing that we haven't mentioned though, I must say, is like the other new signing, I suppose, is the scrum coach.
Yes.
We've got a whole new dynamic of what might be happening this year, because we've obviously got some new scrummagers. We've got the Italian number 1. Is it Fischetti? Yeah, Fischetti. Yeah. Which I think is an excellent signing. And the new scrum coach. And so I'd say that's kind of the biggest unknown, because I'm sure it's not unknown for them. I mean, unknown for us as spectators, because it's new people, new coach.
Yeah, the only thing I would say though as well, I mean, that didn't go particularly well on Friday night, and I know it's a completely different, squad, completely different pack that we'll see starting in the Premiership. But Bedford. I don't mean to be disrespectful, right? But Bedford shouldn't be getting the upper hand at scrum time. We put out.
I will agree. What you said there was the play. Some of them lads are making their debuts and they're at the academy, so I know what you're saying, but it's not like they're.
Ollie Scholar is an under-20s international. The hooker was Walker. He played for us last year. Yeah. Green has played for England A. Munger has captained the side. was it Ed Prowse? You know, he's played in a European final. Angus Scott Young, Graham.
Yeah.
Who's at
It's
7? I can't
it's
think, but
decently it's pretty decently experienced at that point.
they should not be getting pushed off the ball by a very good young a very well coached Bedford squad.
Yeah.
But there's levels to this, and that shouldn't be happening.
But
Yeah.
you know as bet because you go. I've been Bedford a few times, but the championship is pack sized, isn't it? They're not like their packs are heavy, so they had a lot more weight in their pack than we did. Like
Also,
we
I think
always,
I don't think they did. I honestly don't think they did. Bedford don't have that old school type massive pack that you like. You're right. Is often found in the champ. The way they play is slightly different to a lot of the clubs in that league, and there are a lot of players who are playing for Bedford who have been in the Saints system before.
Yeah.
And they've been deemed surplus by Saints, and they've gone to Bedford, and then they've shown them up at scrum time. There's a good couple of youngsters from Bedford there as well who are good players. The loose head, I can't think of his name, but it wasn't. I don't think that. I think they'll get better, and hopefully Yakko will get them firing. But that wasn't a strong point from Friday night.
but we still won. We still won.
We still won,
and we scored some good
Because
tries.
I'm pretty sure for
Sorry,
the past 2 years have we not lost each of our friendlies for the past 2 years. So at least just to kind of change the tide as we head into this one, even if it was not one of the more top tier sides in terms of top domestic competitions. But like I said, we do play them each year, so I'm pretty sure they turned us over the past couple of years.
They definitely did the last one at Bedford.
Yeah, because and then last year I'm pretty sure we lost both of our friendlies last year as well. So,
going back to Van der Schmidt, I just want to make a comment. Like we were talking about Skelton, right? Skelton, when he was at Sarries, they won the European Cup.
Yeah.
He went to La Rochelle. They won the European Cup. He is, like I said, I think he's possibly the best player in the world for some side. I think Van der Mesh, in our system, in our coaching group, could well become that dominant, tight headlock, physical presence that makes a huge difference.
Oh God!
Because I think it's well publicised that French training isn't potentially the levels that you get across the other leagues. Potentially, they sort of leave them to get on with it a bit. Whereas we have got proven, tested, high quality coaching group that have got the best out of every player that's come up to Saints and made players better. And I know Yakko has got a long-term relationship with JJ as well. Yeah. I think that could be one of the best signings of the season because I think he's going to revolutionise our game a bit. He's going to revolutionise our game a bit in the sense of he's going to give us guaranteed go-forward ball.
Yeah.
And try pushing the scrum back with him and Davison in it. I just think that might be... might be the key thing to this season, and you wouldn't put that past our coaching group to have made an absolute gem of a signing, would you? And they went all out for him by all accounts. They made it clear they wanted him, and it wasn't just they made an offer; they made that deal work. They really wanted him, so I think there's signs that could well be an exceptional signing and. It could revolution this side. I reckon take us to even.
That was the problem we had, though, wasn't it? When we lost Mooney, we lost that big lump. Tight head to just to screw to wind down the scrum, just give you a bit more beef. Not saying the lads that played in his place weren't good, but they just weren't as big. And you put a bit of 23 stone in there. That's quite an anchor with Big Trev.
Yeah, and getting over the game line and stopping the opposition getting the game line. And by all accounts, for what I've seen, his handling's pretty good as well. Right, so he'll play our system, but he will, when it comes to the physical stuff, I think he'll take us to the level we need to be at, and potentially where we've not been at. Sometimes it takes Saints big moments to actually get to that physical level. Last year, I felt we weren't always there. Whereas I think he'll give us a baseline physicality that's above what we were last year. And it's truly exciting to see what difference that makes, I think. Interesting. But anyway, I think we will be back next week, or following the Glasgow game. We'll be talking about that and looking ahead to the Saracens fixture. But as always, I've been Charles, Jess has been Jess, Simon's been Simon. Thank you very much for listening.
Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.